squared away, down.
And can you hear me okay? Do you need to adjust my mic?
No, I can hear you
Perfect.
fine. Let me just see if I can get this on here right. I got to get, I'm just trying to get the angle so that we can get this right. Let's see.
Hi, joining. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk.
Of course, it is my pleasure. I am super duper excited to hear more about your story, learn more about your journey. I've been following your page and following your business as well, and I'm curious to learn more about your business and just overall relationship here within the HS community, and hopefully inspire others as well, in sharing their story and learning more about hydrogen.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining. Hi, everyone that has joined. I am your host. Welcome back to another live discussion series, Living with HS. For those who are not aware of what HS is short for hidradenitis suppurativa. It is a chronic skin inflammation condition found within mainly range a ride of ages from 6 on up. Anyone can get it. It is caused mainly from high hormone levels, stress, trigger foods, anything you think of. It's possibly a trigger. However, I do would like to put out this disclaimer. We are not physicians here on this call here. This call and this purpose is to solely provide awareness and knowledge around HS and share our stories of our personal journeys, as well as hopefully helping others as well as they get comfortable with their diagnosis and hopefully share their stories down the line. So being a voice of the community within HS, and today I'm joined by Pedro Romero here, HS hero. Amazing work he's done in the community. He has an amazing soap line tailored towards the HS community. So I'm happy to pass it over to him to share some insight into who he is currently doing.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Pedro Romero, and a lot of you guys know I run the HS Soap Company. I own it and operate it. It was my idea, and it's just something I developed. I was diagnosed in late in life at about in the year 2010. That's when I was diagnosed, but I've had symptoms since I was about 5 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, and so from that point, we did not know what I had until I was, I believe I was almost 40 when we figured this out. I'm 49 right now, so it's just been, you know, a whirlwind with trying to figure out what it was, because there was no specialist. The dermatologist I had, because living in the United States, you have a HMO that you deal with. If you have a job somewhere and you have insurance provided by that job, you have the rules of the HMO you have to go by. And so there was no specialists. Like, we didn't even get a dermatologist until I think 2008.
Wow.
That was like specifically for our hospital, because it was a new hospital and they hadn't built out everything. So they wouldn't refer us out to anybody, even though they were available. So I just wasn't getting answers. And then when I got this doctor that he'd gone to the Mayo Clinic and he'd done some internship there, and right away he told me what it was.
Wow.
And as soon as he gave me a name, then I could go online and start looking at what this was, because this, in the early days of the internet, I would look, but I didn't know what it was called. I would just say lumps and bumps and, flares, whatever I could think of. I come from a Hispanic background, and the word I would hear is granios. You have granios. Well, a granio, it could be like something crumbly or like like crusty or something like that. Like, it didn't capture it. So I didn't know what the words were. And as soon as I got the word, I was able to look it up, and, slowly but surely, it was a news article I believe I saw that somebody had commented under it on Facebook and said that they had it. And I connected with her, just reaching out, hey, I have this, and we started talking. She started a support group on Facebook, and this is around 2010. So at that time, I was still getting new to working in groups and doing stuff, but we built a group together for a while. We parted ways after a little bit, but there's, it's since I got in that, I've been in this world. I was a full-time worker. I had a very good job, and I used to do really well. But when my HS took over and it got to that point, because mine's stress related and I worked in a high stress environment, that's where I thrive. All my schooling and everything is for a high stress environment.
Yeah.
Well, my body will not take a high stress environment. And my whole life, I had built my career to be in a high stress environment, but my body won't let me do it. And so, I had to medically retire, and, and that hurt, that hurt a lot. Number one, I'm never going to own a house. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
I'm going to rent an apartment for the rest of my life. And there's no way I can afford the things that, say, all my siblings have. I can't have it. It's just not going to happen. And so a lot of my focus now is on the mental health aspect of HS, because my wife's actually getting her master's in social work right now. So I'm doing all the psychology classes along with her, just reading all the books. But I see myself in a lot of those diagnoses. And so, as I think about it, I see a lot of the manifestation of my HS is based on trauma, like childhood trauma I had, abuse that I suffered. Different things in my life have created a stress, like a flight or flight response in my autoimmune system. And so that's what happens is, I get stressed, my body attacks itself. And that's what happens. And so, like, I've had to work with meditation, exercising, like trying to find a way to manage my stress, but not, how do you say it? Like, life is stressful. It's going to be stressful no matter what. So it's reducing the stress and managing the stress. And that's the hard part. And so, that's a lot of my focus now, is just trying to figure out how to process this, because, a lot of, like I said, I'm never going to own a house.
Right.
So I have to accept that. That's something to accept. I have to accept I'm never going to have a normal relationship with my family.
Right.
That's just a given. It's never going to be normal. And it's hard to swallow these things sometimes. It's really tough to swallow this, because, your life, especially me, my whole life, I built up to doing something, to meaning something, to owning something. I come from bootstrappers. My family is, it's always been about building and doing something and making things happen, and I can't physically do it. So now I have to try to find ways to mentally do it, to use technology to adapt to it, because as I said the other day to everybody online, it was, life is about adjusting to the obstacles that are put in front of you. Nobody has a life without obstacles. Everybody has them. It's just ours are magnified in certain ways. Absolutely. And so if we can learn to live, to manage, to get around all these obstacles, sometimes we can find happiness. And it's a hard-earned happiness, but it's a very strong happiness once you get it. And so, and that's like I said, a lot of my focus is just trying to get this mental part down, because the doctors are working on the medical part. Right. The doctors got all of that. I can't add anything to that. But the mental health aspect, I can definitely do something like that, because it's extremely difficult, and especially when nobody understands this disease.
Exactly.
Every single suggestion is lose weight, stop smoking, exercise. Yes. Okay, explain to me how to exercise when I have flares on every single fold on my body.
My arms.
Yeah, I'm saying both my arms, both my legs, my thighs, my groin. Okay, I'm working at a job. I cannot sit in a chair for more than an hour. Yeah. Or else I'm in extreme pain. Okay, I can't stand for more than an hour, or else I'm in extreme pain. I can lay down, but what job can I do laying down? Right. And so that's my issue now. As I built things up in my life, and I've got my soap company and stuff. I've built things. I've made things happen. Right. But it's all been like just from the ground up, having to, like, I have to do this. There's no way around it. Like, it has to be successful. There's no choice. I have no other direction I can go. Like, it's make it or break it. And, and I know a lot of magic happens when you have no other way. Like, you figure out how to do it. And it's similar to HS itself, managing it. Like, I have no choice. I have to manage it. Like, I'm going to live. If I'm alive, I need to figure out how to manage it. And so, that's what I suggest to every new person that's out there, like managing, like, okay, you got stress. I got a stress ball right here, and I'm squeezing the heck out of it, but it manages it. When I have to get an infusion and I know it's going to hurt when they inject me sometimes, I got my stress ball. I mean, I mean, it's a specific HS stress ball, but I and I have these on my website, by the way, but I mean, I need things to, to manage it, to manage my stress, meditating and, stretching, doing a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff that I have to do to try to manage this.
Exactly.
And, everyone's got salves and ointments and products that they want to sell us, but it's there's a lot of snake oil out there, and a lot of people saying the word cure when there's no cure right now. Nobody has a cure. And every person that's successfully done something with diet will tell me, well, if you do this, it'll work.
Right.
Not in my case.
Exactly.
HS is very personalized. It's different. Everybody can do something else. I mean, and I mean, a lot of people are allergic to nightshades. That's one of the things. It's an allergy to nightshades. Well, I'm Native American. Native Americans have had nightshades in our blood for thousands of years.
Right.
That's not something new for us. So like, we don't have the same reaction. And, African Americans have different reactions to different things as well. We're all specific, like different. And, I've had children that are half African American, and, they don't have HS, but I see what's manifesting. I can see things. And so I know, hey, go talk to your doctor. You guys better take care of this now, and, it's not HS, but, there's a lot of comorbidities that are there. People get eczema, they get psoriasis, they get RA. There's a lot of things that are mixed in, but, when you tune your mind to this, you're going to start seeing it. And, when I'm living this life, I'm stuck here, and I might as well help whoever else is out there, because when I needed help, there was nobody out there that I knew about. I couldn't find anyone, didn't have a name, didn't have a direction to go. It was very difficult just to find a soap I could use. And that's why I started doing the soap. Just finding a soap. My doctor would tell me, use the Dove Zero. I would break out from the Dove. And it just, my skin is different. It's not like everybody else. And so, and that's when I started experimenting with homemade soaps. I would go to Michael's and just buy the glycerin soap in the block and melt it and think, oh, maybe that'll help. I'll put oatmeal in it or do something. And, it did what it did. It helped, but it gave me the idea, let's start working on a cold pressed idea. And, and of course I live in a little tiny apartment. There's no way I'm going to manufacture soap here. So I have a friend that has the space, and all I have the recipes. And so they can build everything for me. They do the work, they get their money, and I'm the sales end of it. But I mean, I'm the creative that does like the sales, the marketing, but I also like did the recipes. They do some stuff for me and add some things every so often to say, hey, try this. We did poppy seed soap. I mean, there's a lot of things we've done that's different that we've tried. We did the soaps with the loofah inside of the soap, and there's a lot of cool stuff we've tried. Some stuff's worked, some stuff hasn't worked. But, I think we came out with a really good product, and I was just focusing on just moisturizing your skin without drying you out, but it's a good soap, something for your body. And so, I wanted something all natural, and, it's just going to be natural oils, natural moisturizers. The lye in it is to make soap. There's no soap without lye unless it's a glycerin soap. So that's the one chemical that's in it is lye, but that's in every cold press soap. But, again, as I started building this, every so often I start adding a new ingredient or trying something else. And so it's not static. Like, things change, and I rotate scents. I know people get hooked on a certain scent and they keep wanting it. Sometimes I'm not going to make it anymore because I want something new. I like fresh, And so, and that's what I've been doing. And I mean, like right now I've got this one, I call it fresh because I just like the fresh, but it's a cantaloupe scent. So if you see the little colors on it, see, it's like a cantaloupe kind of a scent, and it's like honeydew cantaloupe scent. It's a really nice soap, but it doesn't dry out your skin. It'll moisturize it, but it won't have you like, how do you say, like I know when I get deep sores, they're real juicy. That's like the way you say it. It's like they're real deep and real juicy. And, and when you use it, like any good natural soap will do this. It'll help draw it out. And that's the thing is, we need to treat our bodies with, natural things. Harsh detergents and all these cleansers and the chemicals they put in. Even if you just buy a bar soap from the store, you get a Irish Spring, it's got 1 million ingredients in it. You can't pronounce half of them, and they're very difficult things to manage. Just all the add-ins you can get into your blood, just your skin absorbing all these chemicals. It's after a while it can ruin you. And as I move on from that, after you wash up with the soap, I always use this magic healer, because the
Yeah.
magic healer is the stuff. I mean,
Yes.
and I can't suggest it enough. The ladies that make this, I'm telling you, they're top notch, excellent customer service. And if anyone hasn't tried it, this helps a lot. Like it's not like that Emu Aid or any of this other stuff I see online that
Mhm.
everybody pushes. I mean, this is like legit stuff. This isn't Herbalife. You know, it's not some crackpot stuff that's an MLM or something. Like this is like actual real stuff. It's natural stuff, and you know it has the propolis in it and beeswax. I mean, it's a very good product, but I think that's what I can add to people right now is just suggestions of these are the products that work for me. You know, a
Right.
good natural soap
Yeah.
in this, and then just managing your stress. You know, and that's what I'm saying. Just that's what I have to do. Just keep managing and managing, and just working hard to take care of that stress. You know, and you know it's a battle. You know, you're never going to conquer the stress, but you can learn to manage it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. You mentioned that you started experiencing symptoms around 5 years old. What was that like as a 5 year old? Just kind of going back to that mind state of it's something going on with my body, but we don't know what it is. We don't know how to treat it. We don't know where to go from here. What was that like for you at such a young age?
Well, and it is going to get deep, I might even start crying,
Oh,
because this is difficult to approach. But I was always the pain in the ass kid of the family, because they couldn't do anything because I couldn't do it, or I was having symptoms, I was having issues, so we couldn't go here, we couldn't go there.
mm-hmm.
My parents would always act like, you know, that I was interfering with everyone else's happiness. We couldn't go here because of you. We couldn't go because of you. And I got left home when everyone went to Disneyland before. So if you can understand how bad that hurts, and I was about 12. So think of a 12-year-old kid when all your siblings get to go to Disneyland and you're stuck at home because
Exactly.
you're a pain in the ass, because you're sick. And it's not because you act out or you're causing problems, it's because you're sick.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't sit on the rides as long. It's hard to walk long distances. So we're not going to rent a wheelchair because that's too expensive. Let's just leave you at home and everyone else can go, you know. And like psychologically, that's tough. And then as you live your life, you're always the kid that's sick. You're always got problems. Well, he can't go out there because of this. He can't do this because of that. And it's easy to put the blame on, like, the family blame. We can't go on this event because of him. We can't go because of him. And so, you know, I'm the oldest. So, you know, it's easy for me to push back
Right.
and push back against my siblings, like, no, it's not that. But as you get older and you marry into other families,
Mm-hmm.
well, now my wife's family can think, well, hey, this guy doesn't work. He sits at home. He doesn't do anything all day, you know. And how does that feel psychologically
Right.
when you go visit people and you're thinking, man, everyone's looking at me because I don't work.
Right.
Everyone's talking about their jobs. Everyone's talking about, you know, their exploits they go on, their vacations. And what's my story? I sat in my house today. It was pretty cool. I got to watch TV. You know, I mean, like, really, like, what is there to talk about? And so it's a hard thing socially. You know, this disease is very isolating.
Yes.
And it's hard because nobody can relate. And thanks to the internet, we can relate with each other. We can talk. We can know we're not alone, because I mean, so many years I thought I was the only one that had this.
Oh.
And the thing is, I'm a second generation in this country on one side of my family. The other side's Native American, that we've been here forever. So, like, we can go back hundreds of years. But like on my mom's family, they come here, they don't speak the language, and and all the superstitions from back home and everything, the type of doctors they use, because they want to use traditional shaman, and holistic doctors,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever their cultural thing is. And so, I mean, I've been to so many of those kind of doctors that rubbing plants on you, and I mean, I've had so many things done where they put the dandelion water on you. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't even begin to say how many different things they did. Yeah, I got hit with the branches. Like they
Yep.
get the branches and hit you with them with the eucalyptus branches. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that I've had done, and it wasn't just like through my family. As I got older, people would suggest from their culture. Well, I'm Japanese. Japanese people do this, and
Right.
and you try all these things. Sometimes there's some things that help a little bit, but there's no cure. And
Exactly.
the thing is, like, I've learned to not put any stock into any promise of a cure. I already know it's not going to work, but the people around you put stock in it, and then they look at you like a failure when it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as HS patients, I mean, we get blamed a lot
Yeah.
for just for existing, just for being here. We get blamed like this is an accident that we created this out of something we did.
Right.
I mean, I've had like religious people tell me it's because I've got a devil in me. I have some curse. I've got a spirit in me. Yeah, I need to do some kind of a cleanse. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's, I mean, there's the HS world is like the regular world. There's a lot of crazy people. There's some sane people, and there's just a lot of information. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the hard part is like when I first came around, there was no information. So whatever
Right.
came out, we could scrub it right away and say, hey, this is bullshit, and throw it away. Or this is legit, this works. and
Mm-hmm.
and as we were in the beginning stages, it was like we were gathering people and bringing people into these little folds. But then as our little worlds get bigger, the personalities start, and everyone wants to take over. And I want to do this. As soon as I started selling soap, 4 other people right away, oh, I'm going to sell soap too.
Yeah.
And most of them fell off right away because they're not dedicated to it. It's their side gig. They don't care. It's just there. I was like, I'm going to make $100 real fast and, have fun and, spend $2,000 worth of stuff to buy all this to start it. And then forget about it. I got other stuff to do.
Right.
But I have to succeed. I've got no choice. So, and that's why I'm here. And that's why I push so hard. But, it's, how do you say? It's like, since I cultured myself to be in that high stress environment, I'm trying to replicate the high stress, but without the stress.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say bring the high performance without the stress. And,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's all within your control. You have that opportunity to control your schedule, to determine how many hours you work, whether it's getting up in the morning, kind of knocking everything out then, if you're a night bird, doing that at nighttime and finding out what works for you. Because you said it best. Everyone's body is different. Everyone does not work the same. I can eat certain foods that may trigger you. You can eat foods that may trigger me. You can have a cup of coffee in the morning. I can't have coffee in the morning. Everything is different. Everything fluctuates. Everything is based off of that drive of wanting to help not only yourself, but the community as well. I find it very important as far as the mental aspect of it to have a group. And I'm sorry that you have to start this alone, but you're not alone now. If we're all behind you, holding you up, supporting you, being your support system, your cheerleaders in your corner. So I do want you to know that it is important to have a circle and have people around you that understand that this condition is chronic. This condition is debilitating to the point where it's like, I can't move today. And then you get into a depression. You get into this mindset of, oh, well, I'm alone. I'm by myself going through this. Who cares? A lot of people have suffered from depression resulting in suicide, resulting in endless opportunities that are so unfortunate. It's sad to see, to be transparent, honestly. So I'm so glad that you pushed through your obstacles and your challenges and tribulations through life and was able to create this soap company to help others and yourself guys progress throughout your years to come, as well as the years that you put in so far. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I had one question down here. Somebody asked about surgery.
Yes.
So I have had multiple surgeries. Now, the issue with that is that I have an HMO and I'm in the United States, which means that they can tell the HMO can tell the doctor what is permitted for them to take off. So if the doctor says, I want to do a full excision of your armpit, because there's my armpit, I want to do a full excision. The insurance can say, no, you're going to do spot removals, and that's all. That's all you're authorized. So this hanging stuff here, you just got to live with that because that's just part of the condition. That's cosmetic.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can get work done. but it's difficult, and you never get the full thing you
Mm.
want. Like the surgeon won't do work on me if it has anything connected to your anus. If it's in your butt cheeks or anything, they will not touch it. You have to get a rectal specialist to do that, and those are few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably not going to find
Mm-hmm.
one. So the other issue is like on my leg, I had a sore about this big. So it was about that big. It was like an orange, about the size of an orange, like a large orange.
Yeah.
So I had that on my inner thigh. Now, a normal surgeon would say, okay, let's put you under, cut it off, you're done. I did 5 surgeries while I was awake because they wouldn't authorize anesthesia. So, and that's how the insurance works. There's no anesthesia. I mean, I have the numbing on me, but I'm not knocked out. I'm awake. I know exactly what they're doing. I can smell the fire when they're cauterizing the wound. They're showing me the pieces as they're taking them off. But like the way it worked, they would only allow 5 syringes of the Novocaine at a time. So, and I'd start feeling it, and they go, okay, we got to stop for now. They got to wait 6 weeks for it to heal, then they come back. So it was 5 surgeries, 6 weeks apart. So yeah, and so a normal doctor would say, I'm just going to cut that off one time and you're done.
Right.
But this takes your healing out 2-3 years to heal from that one little thing that could have been maybe 6 months.
Right.
And so it's hard, and especially where I had it, it was like where your thigh and your buttocks connect. So that's where you got to walk when you sit on the toilet. That's what touches on the seat. So and a lot of people don't think about that, but if you get surgery on your thigh, think of how you're going to sit on the toilet, because I was standing up shitting for months.
Wow.
And that's horrific.
Right.
If you think about that, trying to make a basket, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
But that's what we go through. And again, this is relatable to us because we've been through this. If I talk about this with anybody in my family or anybody else that doesn't see this, like my wife understands because she sees it, she understands it. But anybody else that if I say it, well, why don't you just take medicine and go get surgery? That's what I hear all the time. And and the thing is, like, even when I was working, I would drain. My armpits were the worst, and so I had to wear long sleeve shirts to work, and business shirts. Yeah. And they'd be soaked all the way down to the sleeve, like all the way down to the cuff. I would be yellow everything. Yeah. And even if I would bandage, and it would leak through the bandages because it was so horrific here. And I live in Central California where it gets like 115 in the summertime, and I was doing like in-home sales. So I'm in people's houses, and a lot of people don't use their air conditioner because they're cheap. They don't got money. And so I'm sitting in there for 5 or 6 hours with no air conditioning, having to do work, and in 110, 115 degree weather. So, of course I had to retire. There's no way my body could function on that. And I think the mental health aspect of just being a man, not being able to work and not being able to provide, when you see, like I said, like you see your siblings, your friends, or whatever, if they need more money, like say money's short, your car breaks down, you got to pay for that. Okay, I'm going to work extra overtime and I'll be able to pay for it. Right. Well, what can I do? Exactly. Okay. And then the other thing, like Social Security, the way it's paid, it's fine. It's nice. But when that cost of living hits, it's maybe 1%, 3%. Okay. So that means my pay will go up maybe $20. Right. My rent goes up $100 every year. Right. So I have less buying power every year. So it's like they're giving me a pay cut every year. And so, and there's no way to control it. Where I live, I can sign a lease for a year and that's it. Right. I can't do a long-term lease. They used to do those before, which was nice, but now it's not that. So now every year I make less, I make a little bit more money, but spend a lot more. If you think of $20 versus $100, I'm $80 less in buying power every month. And it's it's all stress. It's like especially with the economy. Yeah, you want to scream, you want to throw things. I mean, like what can you do? Like, I mean, I get so worn out, so tired. Like I lay down and I'll go to sleep, and it'll be 2-3 days later when I wake up sometimes, because it's like I can't deal with this. Like it's just so much, and. But it's like I have chronic insomnia too. So like when it catches up to me, it'll just knock me out for a couple of days. But there'll be days where I'm not sleeping, I'm awake all night. I see an order come in and I'm wrapping up an order at 2 a.m. because I'm awake and I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to be awake in the morning probably, or I'm going to be real tired. So let's do it now, you know? And so,
Exactly.
and that's how I got to like adapt, you know, it's a lot of adaptation,
Mm-hmm.
but I have found a reduction of stress when I figure out how to adapt. And it's just, you know, and that's just the mindset, you know. I have to look at life as a puzzle. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my whole life is a puzzle. Let's solve it. Let's do whatever it takes. And that's kind of what I have to do is figure out what fits here, what fits there. You know, I have these many things I have to do in my day.
Yeah.
How can I do them? What order do I need to do them in? Can I do one and break it up into a bit of, you know, a few different tasks? I mean, it's like my ex-wife was disabled, so I learned a lot from her just about that, just having to plan things out a lot more,
Exactly.
writing
Especially
things down.
you,
Yeah.
you don't overwhelm yourself to where you're causing even more stress of like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and you're running like a chicken with your head cut off, and you're like, okay, I got to take a step back from this, and I have to analyze what works for me on a day-to-day basis, whether that's going to work, whether that's packing orders, whether that's taking time for yourself if you're someone who feeds to other people and kind of utilizes your time servicing other people versus servicing yourself. So even if it's that case, definitely understand for sure. I try to keep myself busy in the sense of I have to keep moving. I have to keep my body going. So if I do sit down, I'm going to think about everything that I need to do or things that I didn't get to do. And then I'm going to stress out. I'm going to start overthinking. And then I'm going to cause myself to essentially flare up. And then I'll be like, well, here I am bedbound. Oh, well. So I definitely understand that for sure.
Yeah, and it's hard. Just like I said, just managing the stress itself is hard. But it's I think a lot of my success has just been planning. Like you need to plan a lot. I was a person that would fly by the seat of my pants all the time. I was the guy that would go to the movies without looking what was starting, and I would just go and whatever's on, I'm going to go see that. You know, I just I didn't you know, I didn't have time to plan. It was not part of my vocabulary planning. With the parents I grew up with, I wasn't taught to plan anything. It was always what's going to happen to me. Let's see what's going to happen to me today. You know, that kind of stuff. And you know, you get that doom and gloom in your system, and then bad stuff starts happening to you every day, and you think it's never going to end. You know, and I think part of my when I was raised, it was raised with all this fear about this bad thing's going to happen all the time, or you know, it's always this something's right around the corner that's about to happen. Like we're victims of all these bad things that keep happening, you know, and that's hard turning that inside out and trying not to be the victim because you know it's easy to play that role and to take it on and just say, well, I don't have any blame in this, but some of my behaviors I know do influence my HS.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is like what I consume, not food, but like media. Certain media stresses me out, and I don't realize it at the time, but it does. Well, in one of my favorite things I used to do was like go onto Twitter and argue, like just go on there and argue with people. But I found it was making my HS worse. Like at the end of the day, it was making it worse. And as soon as I like just got off of Twitter, like I have the app, but I don't go on it. Like I'll go and like advertise sometimes, but I don't type anything on there other than advertisements. And my stress level went down. My blood pressure's managed a lot better now just because I'm avoiding a lot of that, you know, just because I know I feel it. I get hot-headed when someone says something, you know, and I mean, I like arguing back and forth. That's fine. Yeah. But it's like when you, there's just a political climate out there right now that's very stressful. And there's certain people that want to take certain rights away from certain people. And I'm one of the people that's going to get their rights taken away. So I don't like it. And, you know, I argue about it. And, you know, I feel there is a place for arguing about things like that and having a discourse. But there are people you're going to talk to that are never going to change their mind, no matter what you tell them. And if you're not going to change their mind, why talk to them? There's no reason. It might be entertaining for a little bit, but it'll stress me out just because, you know, I'm getting involved, I'm getting heated up, even if I'm winning the argument, which I usually do. But it's just, you know, it's just you know, you have all this in you, you want to get it out, and then say they cut the conversation short. Well, now you're mad already, and I want, I want to keep arguing, and your body will say, well, if you don't argue, I'm gonna do it another way.
Exactly.
I notice if I don't cry, if I don't let myself cry, I break out, and I'll
Wow.
feel it. I feel like it, like in my face.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to cry. I'm stressed out. I need to cry. I'll go do it. I feel better. But if I hold it in, because some people in my family will say, well, why are you always crying? I hate watching you. You're always crying, like you're so emotional. I hate how emotional you are, but like, I can't control it. There's no, if I could, I would, but I can't. But part of my managing it is I have to make sure I set aside time so I can be emotional. I can sit here when nobody's around, when I'm all by myself. I can lay here and cry into the pillow, do whatever.
Exactly.
And I normally feel better about it. And it just gets clears out a lot of that stuff that's in there, and, but again, this isn't something anybody tells you. Like it's tough when nobody tells you, and you just think there's something wrong with you, but and we get the why me, why me. I do that all the time. Why me? Out of all my siblings, why do I have to have this?
Exactly.
It's like, and how I look at it is like, my siblings all have happy lives.
You're right.
And why don't I? Why can't I?
Exactly.
And I know that the HS is a big part of it, but again, you have to, if you're spiritual or if you have faith or whatever, one way I look at it, because I do have faith, I look at that I was put here for a reason.
Exactly.
There's a specific reason I'm right here. And like everybody, there's in Arabic, there's a word called mezan. Mezan is like your what you're given in your life, your reward, your lifetime reward. Everybody has rewards in their life. Some people get them right away. Some people get them consistently through their lives, and some people get them at the end. And you have to kind of look at it like that: is that your reward is your reward. It's there. It's coming. But you have to stick it out till you get to it, and a lot of times it'll be increased with your actions, what you do. And that's why I give my time so much. I'm here sitting in here all day. I could sit here and sleep all day. I could just eat food all day. There's all kinds of things I could find that I could do.
Exactly.
But as I started interacting with people and talking to people and actually seeing that I helped people, then I'm, it's contagious. It gives you that energy to keep going, because you see me, I'll sit there all night and I'll post 58 memes.
Right.
Because I can't sleep. So I'm just there making memes all night.
Exactly.
But then the next day I get people commenting, oh, that's just like me. That happened to me. I thought I was the only one that had that happen. And, and that's rewarding to me. That's my reward. And as the way I looked at my page is I sometimes I feel like I advertise my soap too much, but then I think about it as that's your cost of admission. Your cost of watching all my memes and all my antics. You got to see an advertisement once in a while. And if you don't like it, you skip past it and go to the next thing. It's fine. I don't care if you skip them. It's just there because I want to remind you that it's there. Because whenever I drop it on the first, I usually put an advertisement that I'll pay for one. And then everyone's like, oh, you reminded me. I just got paid. I'm gonna, and that's the thing, is I try to stay fresh in everyone's mind, but not just with advertising. I want to entertain and educate if I can. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I've experienced this life, so I can relate it. I can tell people how I lived through it, and maybe it'll help them.
Exactly.
But again, like this, the way this life is, like, it can be very isolating. But now with the internet, like, there's so much more we can reach, so many more people we can touch. I talk to people in Australia all the time. There's 3 people I talk to in Australia regularly. And they send me messages. We joke. We send things to each other. There's a girl in Russia that reaches out to me every so often. There's a few people in Malaysia. There's a couple Japanese people, but there's worldwide. There's people that reach out, and you wouldn't believe how many Middle Eastern people reach out to me because I look like them. And that's they see a face that looks like them, and they say, "Hey, I got this too." And so I get everything. You know, I get all these, you know, everyone reaching out to me, and the big thing is when I reduce my stress, because that's rewarding. Rewarding's like taking away some of the stress. I notice my HS getting better, and it's like it seems the more I help people, the better my HS gets. And not just like physically going and helping someone, just sharing your content. Every time I see a content related to HS, I'll share it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's another person selling HS soap. I still share it. I don't care, because I'm not trying to, we're not in a fight. There's how
We're
many
all
people that,
together.
even if 1% of the people in the world had HS, there's way more than enough customers for multiple people. And the thing is, I don't just want to win. I want you to win. I want to watch you win. And that's what I tell, like, and that's why I make a lot of partnerships. And like with my Magic Healer, like I promote them so much because I want them to win, because I believe in their product. I use it and it's incredible. And I could look at them like competition if I wanted to, and saying, well, they're taking my business because I could be selling therapeutic things instead. You know, I could make my own salve, but why mess with something so perfect already? Like I wouldn't mess with this. It works. And they need to feed their families as well. And it's not snake oil. This is something legit that they sell. So if I can help them get to where they want to go, then maybe it'll be my turn next. I don't know. But that's how you have to look at the world now, because, you know, I've isolated myself for so long that you know, you look at your personality. I become like real abrasive. I become real picky, like extremely picky. I notice it. It just, even with food, anything, I'm extremely picky because of this, because I'm at home all the time and it's always my way. And I have to kind of let that go. When my wife comes home, sometimes she wants to do something and I don't feel like doing it, because I always get to do whatever I want. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. But then I have to think, wait, I need to get into this, you know, I need to be social. And I know it's all a reflection of the depression. You know, you get depressed and it manifests like that, where you don't want to do anything. Sometimes you just want to sleep. You just, you know, it just feels like there's no happiness left, you know. The way I explain it to people is like my world turns like blue, like and it's hard to express it, but it's like everything turns blue when I see it. It's like if you put like blue glasses on, it's just everything's like dark blue, but it's like I'm imagining it. Like I know it's not real, but my head's telling me like that's how it manifests this. And I know I'm really depressed when I'm just seeing blue. I'm like, okay, and as soon as I notice that, I know, okay, I need to do something. I need to sit down and do something artistic, or, you know, I keep a sketchbook, because even if it's just garbage, I'm sketching. It's just me doing something where my brain's forgetting about the pain or the isolation or the loneliness or whatever. And I'll do that. Sometimes I'll call somebody. Even my friend Parrish on here, if you ever see him, he's always doing like he does music. He raps a lot, and so like me and him were doing some back and forth before with it. I've just kind of fallen off because like I'm getting my equipment all back together again, because I mean I love doing music as well, you know. But I mean Parrish, he does it way different than I do. Like he's eons past me. But, you know, it's more just like for fun, to blow off steam, and, you know, to try to find a hobby. I mean, I make myself go fishing. I try to go walking. I do all kinds of different stuff, but it's like sometimes you look and it's like I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just dark, you know. And that's when I need to reach out to someone and tell them, I mean, like I need to get, you know, get my mind right. And sometimes visualizations, or, you know, there's a lot of things you can do, but it's a lot of it just, you know, like get into psychology books, get into therapy or something, and try to find your way, because there's no unsolvable problem. Every problem's got a solution, but it's just, we got to be willing to do what it takes to solve it. And I mean, I'm lazy sometimes. Like I like eating what I like to eat, you know, and that's like one of my big battles. You know, I don't notice a lot of issues with food, but I don't like restricting myself, like just from happiness, you know. And you know, and that's the thing, is like a lot of people that diet for HS, they're very restrictive, and they take all the joy out of life, and food's joy. Now there's adjustments you can make and things you can do that, or you're not losing everything. But I mean, I'm not just going to eat plain oatmeal for the rest of my life. Like that's just not going to happen. And I mean, I love oatmeal. I eat oatmeal, but I just don't want plain oatmeal for the rest of my life. Like I want flavor. I love having a donut once in a while,
Yeah.
like not every day, but I like having a donut. I mean, I like having a slice of pizza. I like hamburgers. I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff I like, and I don't notice that my body is affected by it, except when I start denying myself, I start getting stressed, and the HS comes
Yeah.
back. And a lot of dieters don't understand that because they get results just from not eating something. But when you got a stress relation on there, now or if you
Mhm.
stop smoking, you break out because your body's like withdrawal. It wants tobacco,
Exactly.
you know, and or even like with alcohol. Like I could drink alcohol, no problem.
Hmm.
But let's say I go on a bender for the weekend or something, and then I stop, well then my body starts breaking out after that, and so it's like, you got to learn what you can moderate, what you can have and what you can't have, and sometimes there's things you can't have, like the certain foods will just, they don't
Yeah.
work with you, like I love Life cereal,
Hmm.
my favorite cereal in the world. It gets me extremely sick if I eat it. Like yeah, I don't know what it is in it, but I get extremely sick every time I eat it.
That's how I am
And
with peppers. I love bell peppers.
yeah.
I would put them in my foods, my chicken, everything. And I noticed like I would get immediate flares. Like as soon as I would digest everything, it would be like, all right, here you go. So absolutely. And it's hard to kind of switch and pivot that after you've created such a steady routine of, oh, I love cooking this. Because cooking to
Mhm.
me is very therapeutic. I love in the kitchen. I love to try different foods and different sectors of the kitchen scene. However, I can't honestly do that because I know you'll break out from this.